everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Why Would You Show Me This? I am here with my dad. He goes by Bill, but his
Hey,
name is
everybody.
also William. And I thought it would be cool. He worked at a video store in the 80s, and I thought it would be interesting to know what that was like, especially considering they're not around anymore. So, thanks, Dad. Thanks for doing
Yeah,
this with me.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So what were the years that you worked at? Or what years did you work in at the video store?
Um, Boy, that's such a fog. Let's say probably 87 to 89, 90, somewhere in there.
Okay,
86
okay.
to 89, somewhere in there. Yeah, I was like 19 to like 20, 21.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay. And I do you want to give the name of the video store? I mean, I know it's not
It's not there
around
anymore. It
anymore.
was Hamden Video Store.
Hamden Video? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was
Okay.
called. Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like when you first started working there?
That was fun. I mean, I got into it, I hate to say this, but basically because I got free videos and they had an adult section. So
uh,
I could take how many videos I wanted whenever I wanted. So that was, I mean, it was,
free
it wasn't that difficult. It was, and I got to see all the stuff that came out like every Tuesday. I think it was Tuesdays or Mondays. I don't remember. Like a big, huge box of videos would come in from the companies and stuff, and we could pick and take them and watch what we wanted before anybody else got to watch it. So that was fun.
Okay.
But I was big into movies. Well, still am, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, it was fun.
So what did your job entail basically?
Basically, just taking people's monies, helping them find videos, keeping the perverts out of the adult room. I mean, that was pretty much, that really was pretty much, doing the cash register at the end of the day, that kind of stuff. Nothing,
Uh-huh.
nothing too daunting. So.
Okay. So I don't want to get to the adult room just yet, but I do want to get to that because I don't most people when they think of a video store they think of Blockbuster, and nobody really thinks of the mom and pop shops that had things like that back in the day.
Well, so it's interesting. So in knowing that we were going to do this, I actually thought about something that when I tried to extrapolate it out, actually became kind of interesting to me. So they had a huge horror section as well, which, as you know, I loved.
Yes.
So I have no idea where you get your affinity for it, but anyway. Um, and what I thought about is that had I had the foresight, I know that there's a whole genre now of like horror porn, and I
Mhm.
never correlated. There was never anything like that back
Mhm.
then. They were two completely different things. I mean, unless you go to like, like I Spit on Your Grave or The Last House on the Left, which I guess technically could have kind of been considered horror porn, but it was just more really off the deep end horror.
More
Um,
exploitation horror. I
right,
mean,
yeah.
there was sex, but I don't think the sex was like the reason for watching those
No,
movies.
no, but it was definitely exploitation with an X. There was no doubt about
Yes, big old X
that.
for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and I thought about that today. It's like because some of the stuff I saw, like in the horror section of stuff, first of all, I don't even think it would get made today. I think
No.
Shocking Asia, where they went around the world and took videos of just stuff that people do that to them is normal. People
Yeah.
hanging by hooks on their backs and eating monkey brains and just crazy, crazy stuff that, and they say, so it's funny because I remember back in the day when the rock started coming out with Motley Crue and Ozzy and all that, and the
Hmm.
NPRC and all that was blaming kids doing all this stuff on movies and videos and songs. And I remember watching all of this stuff, and I never once had any thoughts about doing any of that stuff. It was just interesting to watch, you
Yeah.
know. But it was very I mean, like just there's stuff that none of that stuff would be made today. It just wouldn't. It's the culture is too different. But it was interesting that I got to see it because I got to see, it's like now you have the Discovery Channel and National Geographic, and I can't believe I'm comparing these two things, but I got to see things that you otherwise would never get to see,
Yes.
even though it was
Would you?
extreme nature.
Yeah. Like Faces of Death,
Right.
Shocking Age, stuff like that. Would you watch that in the store? Like
Um.
while you were open?
So it would depend on the day. Like, so you had
Okay.
right. So think about it, right? So during the day, it
Uh-huh.
was rare to get people. I mean, we opened at like, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Look, it's been a really long time. So I'm going to probably be off on some details here.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, until people got off work and stuff like that, it was pretty dead. I mean, might get a person here or a person there, and were we supposed to watch that? No, of course not. But you're sitting there for hours on end doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just pop something in and watch it. And if somebody came in, you just stop it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there were times where we probably watched stuff we probably shouldn't have been, but it was never like little kids coming in or anything, unless it was the weekends with their parents. Most of the time, the biggest time was like after work
Mm-hmm.
and then on the weekends.
Okay.
Other than that, during the day, yeah, you had people come in and out and they were open.
Okay.
But I mean, now I will say that was a largely more traffic time for the adult room.
That's what I was wondering.
I was people in the video store, so people could come in and get stuff and they didn't have to worry about other people seeing them, and that whole stigma that goes with all of that. It's not like you're going into because the adult video room was back in a corner, and like when you walk in there, it's like, hey, what's up, Bob? How you doing? You know what I mean? So,
how you doing today?
Right,
Nice to see you again.
You're hoping nobody's there. Hey, can we switch? I haven't seen that one yet. Is that a full boner or a half boner? What do you think?
So okay, since we're there already, did you have to clean that room?
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like the plot. No.
Oh, it wasn't a booth. It wasn't a booth.
No,
it was, I thought it was a booth.
No, no booths. It was just shelves with videos, but you would have like creepy people back there, like, and you got to kind of like keep an eye. And you had, had to go back every once in a while. If somebody was back there too long, you're like, hey, let's make sure you're just, looking at videos.
Get what you need and get out, pervert.
Hey, and don't take that one. I want that for later. So
yeah, I called dibs.
No, we would just take it off the shelf. So
so with that, did you, I mean, this is just the way my brain thinks, would you like disinfect them when they get returned?
Right. So no. No,
not even a Clorox wipe, nothing.
Nope. Just handling other people's jizz. I mean, it's well. You hope that it's not. Well, I don't even want to think about that. I never really thought about that. The world's such a different place now, right? You think about all of that now, right? Like I don't like going into a store and touching something. I have to wash my hands when I come out to the car. But yeah, back then we just didn't. It just wasn't even. I mean, I just never thought about it. I mean, maybe the women who worked there did, but I didn't think about it. I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care.
Dudes don't really think about that.
It's like, okay, thanks. Put it back on the shelf.
Yep. Here you go. Can you remember a certain film during your time working there that was like the most rented?
Wow. Man, dude. That's an interesting question, and had it not been so long ago, I might have been able to answer. But I mean, it was just it was constant. Whatever the big things were at the time. I mean, I don't even think like by that time, can't even think of what would have been huge at that time. Maybe like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
So like, I mean, was Top Gun? Was that out at that point?
It might have been after.
Okay.
Time frame. Yeah, I mean, any of the big blockbusters, you'd get multiple copies, and people would be coming through. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember anything that was like just nuts.
Yeah.
So
did you guys have just one copy of everything, or did? No. Okay.
Depending on how big the movie was, they would have multiple copies of some things, and some things there was just one copy. But basically what they did is like they would buy, let's say Top Gun. They'd buy like 4 or 5 or 6 copies, and those would be, I mean, every day they'd all be gone. So they'd for themselves in like a week or two.
Yeah.
And once it died down, they'd just sell some of them off and just keep one on the shelf. But yeah, I mean, they made enough money that they would be able to sell the stuff pretty easily afterwards once it was, and stuff lasted for months because if you only got 5 or 6 copies, you could only 5 or 6 people and it was like, I think a new release was like a 2-day. So
okay.
you bought it one day, it had to be back the next day, that kind of stuff. So
some stuff for 3 days, weekend releases, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. What was so what was a membership price, if you can remember? If there was one.
I think they had different tiers.
Okay.
Like depending on how much you wanted to rent. Like you could just come in and rent it. So you had to get a membership card. I think that was like $2 or something.
Yes.
And then that entitled you to rent, anything you wanted. I'm trying to remember if they had tiers, like you could rent so many things a week or whatever. I don't remember, and I'm sorry. This is bad.
Oh no, you're fine. Hey, I'm asking you about 30 years ago now?
35 years ago. 34 years ago.
Before I was even born. So.
Yes, and I was in quite a haze back at that time too. So.
Well, I was trying. Yeah. Oh no, totally. So I was trying to think of anything else that I can ask you before we get into your stories, because I know you have plenty of stories of working at the video store that have nothing to do with the actual job.
Yeah, nothing major. Nothing major. I think the funniest thing you and I talked about was the whole, and thinking about it today, it kind of weirded me out, was thinking about the whole Traci Lords thing.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because Traci Lords was, obviously underage, and then when all that came out, they came in and basically said we had to take everything off the shelves or they were going to shut it down. So
you said it was the FBI, right? Like it was the government.
No, it was the police.
Oh, just the police. Okay.
Yeah. But they said, you had to take it all off the shelves, and then I honestly don't know what they ever did with it, because basically at that point it's considered child pornography. So, I don't know, but that was pretty crazy, because, if you were watching that stuff, you're thinking afterwards, you're like, wow, wait. I mean, it's not like it's your fault. You didn't know. You assumed that these people in these movies were all of legal age, but it was still kind of weird. So
yeah.
I mean, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just think it's weird, because thinking about that as well is my first thought is, oh, they just destroyed everything, but then also it's like, oh, but that's evidence. Right. So is there just a bunch of VHS tapes locked up somewhere? Like,
I have no clue. I don't know.
Did you know that was going to happen the day that it happened? Like, had you read anything in the newspaper or something, or it just happened out of the blue?
So you got to remember, back then there wasn't really the internet, right? So anything you read was either on the. I don't know that it was like national news. It may have been, but I just remember the cops walking in and saying, "Hey, do you have any of these? This is blah 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 blah." We're like, oh, wow. Okay. And then afterwards, at some point, reading about it. And hey, she made a comeback. John Waters loved her. So.
Yeah. She was a crybaby. Yeah. Is there any movie that you watched while you were working at the video store that you were like a movie that, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say life-changing, but just a movie that you just discovered at the video store that you love?
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of the stuff we talked about, like the Shocking Age and that kind of stuff. I would have never known about that stuff otherwise. Mm-hmm. Lots of older movies that, so that was the great thing about working in a video store, is everything that came out came in, even if it was just one copy of it. So I got to kind of see everything, Mm-hmm. I remember, although I don't think it was at the video store, but one of the movies like that is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
well, that was like 2000 something.
Right, but there was stuff like that, like stuff I would have never otherwise seen had we not gotten into the internet and having, channels and stuff like that. There was lots of movies. The Saint with Val Kilmer, I think that was back then. Just different stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to see, because mm-hmm. unless I went to the movies, I wasn't going to see it.
Yeah,
And I didn't go, I remember there was a Jeff Goldblum movie, something Therapy. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Just I watched like 20 minutes of it. Like, I'm not spending any more time watching this. Just not. And I love Jeff Goldblum, but it was just Beyond Therapy. That's what it was called.
Beyond Therapy. Okay.
Just horrendous. And you know how it goes. Sometimes you're watching stuff and maybe in that mood, in that moment, I
Yeah.
was just not in a place to watch that, but I've never ever seen it since.
I was gonna ask, have you ever decided,
No,
hey, I'll pick that back up and
nope,
see?
nope,
Well,
nope.
now I have to find it and check it out to see how bad this movie is.
Yeah, it was. I remember it being pretty damn bad. So that's what I remember more is the really bad stuff, right? Like the really good stuff I've probably watched a few times. It's more of the really bad stuff that's like, how did this even get made? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because I mean, you make films, and it's like, how does some of this? How do you sell some of this to some people?
Well, I think because like video stores, being so popular as they were looking for anything they could put on their shelves.
Yes.
Like, and especially with like a lot of the horror movies and stuff back then, you make a cool case. Doesn't matter what's in the case. People see the case, they're gonna rent it, and by that point, you already got the money.
Well, music was the same way. I mean, the covers of albums and stuff. Sometimes, if you didn't know who the band was, that kind of gave you an idea of whether you wanted to listen to it or not, at least.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. There was a couple of bands whose albums I bought just because I thought the covers were cool. Back when there were still record stores, and
yeah. Well, luckily, there's still record stores.
Yes, it's not nearly as many.
When record stores go away, I'll be very sad. I'm already sad that the video stores are gone. Are you sad that they're gone, or do you like the convenience of streaming?
No, I think you and I have had these. Especially now, I'm very happy that I can stream anything and not have to be. It's so funny you talk about people returning videos, and did I ever think about they were returning? And now it's like just the world we live in now. That's all you can think about is what's going on and the people around you and what their priorities are, because they might not be what your priorities are. So yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to stream. And at some point, I think the experience of going back to the movie theater would be great. I just don't need to do it. I'm very happy to sit in front of the screen that I have and watch the things that I want to watch. And I don't think I lose. So one of the things that killed me about movie theaters, it really started to bother me, was I used to love when you went to the theater, it was the surround sound, and the sound just blowing you away. And that was part of the thing of it. And they don't even do that anymore. It's like, it's not like that at all. Like they've taken even that away in the theaters. The last couple times before the pandemic that I went to see things, it wasn't, and it was like, like Endgame, that's one that you expect, like the huge music and everything else to be all around you, and it just wasn't. And it just, that to me, once that started happening, I'm like, well, I can watch this at home. I don't need an 18-foot screen. I still see the same thing. I was all about the music surrounding you and everything else, and they took that away. Even when we went and saw the Halloween movie,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't the same.
I wonder if part of that is like, because I know a lot of movies are IMAX, and IMAX costs a little more, and they want you to go see it in IMAX. I don't know if that's a thing, but it might be.
I've never seen IMAX, so I don't know.
You've never seen an IMAX movie?
No.
Oh, well, we when seeing Endgame, we went to see it actually at the Baltimore Science Center. Because they have like a big old theater in there, and I thought that was awesome. I thought they had good sound and everything in there. So I think sometimes it kind of depends on the theater as well.
Maybe.
Because I don't know. But I mean, you weren't a super big fan of the theater due to people. So how certain people
So I did like though the newer theaters that had the lounge chairs and they were more spread apart. I really like that, especially down here. They have two theaters, and the one new theater is like that, and it's a lot more spacing and everything else, and that was really great because you could just relax, and it was tiered, so no one was in front of you, and but I mean, like I said, at some point I'll go back. They've made it more of an experience, and I just wish the sound had changed back to what it was, because I miss that most of all, like The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
They built that to you be surrounded in sound, so that you hear the bullets over here, going over here, and in the theaters, you used to be able to hear that, and you don't anymore. And I just think that takes away from the experience of it. So
I agree. I remember didn't see the first Matrix in the theaters, but you did take me to go see the second Matrix at the Senator in Baltimore. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all part of the experience, and when they start taking pieces of it away, it just kind of takes it away. Now, like I said, IMAX I haven't done, so maybe I'll have to check that out at some point.
I think so, especially whenever you feel more comfortable going back to the theater. I think checking out, because IMAX, it's the theater, the screen is even more gigantic. The sound
Right.
is even more in volume or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, whenever you feel comfortable, I think you should.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot.
So what in a sentence or a paragraph or whatever, how would you describe your time and how you felt about your time working at the video store?
I thought it was really cool to be able to see. I mean, and this is a young mind's perspective.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought it was really cool to be able to see whatever I wanted to see when I wanted to see it. Stupid young mind, I got to see stuff before other people,
Yeah.
so it made me feel important.
Yeah, I saw that already.
I've already seen it. Wait, sorry. Oh, do you want this? Nope, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it was just movies were a really, really big thing for me. I loved movies. I loved seeing all sorts of different movies, and being able to see like every horror movie that came out, I really loved. Even the like crazy like Basket Case. I mean, most people don't even know what that is. That actually, the question you asked me earlier, I think that was one of the which fell into two categories. Like really, really cool, but I can't believe somebody actually made it.
Yeah.
So that was, but even like the older stuff, like Vincent Price and that kind of stuff, and being able to see those things, because again, at the time there was no streaming or anything, so that was the only way that you could see it. It wasn't going to be on unless it was on like maybe late night TV or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was just the ability to see a lot of things that I would have never otherwise had the opportunity. I mean, I could have gone to the video store, but I wasn't going to go there every day looking for new things and that kind of stuff. I mean, especially back then because I was playing sports and everything else. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. My friends, they came in and they got discounts, and, so. But yeah, it was fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It was the second best thing I did to singing telegrams.
Oh, you did singing telegrams? I don't think I ever heard this story.
Yeah, I worked for a florist, delivered balloons, and did singing telegrams in different outfits. Yeah. So, hey, when you're young,
amazing.
When you're young, you do what you got to do.
Hey, how long did you do that job?
It was only about 6 months.
Okay, you got tired of singing to people at the doorstep.
Well, first of all, as you know, I can't sing. And can you imagine a 6'4" chicken walking into your office? It was a chicken and a gorilla and a wizard. And first of all, those two costumes are hot as hell. And second of all, you've got this gargantuan thing walking in there delivering stuff to people, and it was usually in offices, which was luckily it was in a costume, so I wasn't as self-conscious. But but I think those were just two really fun jobs. There wasn't like any pressure. It was just it's just fun. So
Yep. That's good. Do you think that kids are missing out by not getting a job like that, like a video store? Both of those jobs, they're not really around anymore.
No, yeah, I don't think so. That was Mount Washington florist. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think finding your way, and doing different jobs. Now it was different back then, but and I wasn't necessarily doing it for the reasons that I think you should be. I was just doing it because I was chasing money or needed a job or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think working and meeting different kinds of people and having different experiences round you out as a person, even though I know I can't sing, I think it's fun to tell people I did that because it was fun. It really was, and it just I'll never forget. Let alone the other people of a 6'4" chicken walking into this office singing happy birthday to someone. It's just, like I think about it now. If I saw that in a movie, I would think it was hilarious. So, because it's just this big, huge thing, so, but I mean, I think having different jobs when you're young and kind of experiencing different things is really helpful. It's more about people and being around different kinds of people.
I'm working jobs like that. Yeah, I'm sure you meet, especially in the city, because this was all Baltimore City. Right. I'm sure you met a bunch of different types of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you've worked in a video store. You have been a singing chicken and gorilla. And now I know you are into something that you've been into for a while now. If you want to let everyone know.
Yeah, yeah. So when I was little, I learned a card trick when I was 5. And then when I was young in school, I always read about Houdini, and I was always interested in Houdini and what he did and his magic and stuff. But was never really something that I got to pursue as a kid. So when the pandemic came around, had lots of time on my hands, even though working full time and stuck inside. So I decided to start learning card magic and close-up magic and card tricks. And so I have a YouTube site called Learning Magic After 50. I'm slowly getting up an Instagram and a blog and Facebook and trying to get all that. I put out a few videos just like me doing stuff. I got a couple of live videos, and right now I'm working on a bunch of different things that I'm trying to get to the point where I'm going to go out and do them live and have them videoed so that I can start putting that stuff up too. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really exciting, and I'm learning a ton, which I think kind of keeps you young if you continue to learn, you know.
Dad, thank you so much for doing
Thank you.
this.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll never get to work at a video store, so I can live it through you in this interview. But I'm as happy we can do this, and I like hearing. I really enjoyed hearing your stories about working.
Well, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate you doing it. I really do.
Of course. So everybody, please check out my dad's
Thanks,
channel
everybody.
where he's doing magic and putting out a bunch of magic. And we'll see you next time with the next episode. All right. Bye, everybody.